Good evening and welcome to the Pompey Politics Podcast PMQ Special. It's Wednesday the 8th of July and we shall be analysing PMQs to see if questions get answered and whether other figures of the establishment will be doing it with a bin on their head. I'm Ian Tiny Morris.
Good evening, and I'm Simon Sansbury, and good evening Ian, and good evening viewers and listeners.
Yes. What a monumental week in politics it's been. I guess in the interests of time, though, we need to dive straight in. Am I right? It's a travelling reserves week this week on PMQs.
Yes. So this week with the PM at the NATO summit, we've got Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy standing in for Sir Keir Starmer, and we've got James Cleverly as standing in for Cameron Badenoch, and we've got Daisy Cooper standing in for the Lib Dems. So so it's the reserve team, as you say. And just before we kind of go on to that, please do, if you like what we're doing and you want to see more of it and make sure you don't miss the next one, please do give us a like, follow, subscribe, or give us some comments in the chat. We'd like to hear what you've got to say about the questions and indeed whether there are actually any answers. So, should we get straight into it, Ian?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Paul Holmes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I entirely associate myself with the Deputy Prime Minister's opening and personal remarks? Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister and the Right Honourable Gentleman from Makerfield are both proud football fans. So given that the Deputy Prime Minister clearly thinks the Prime Minister has always been match fit, how does he feel that his own MPs are given the boss the red card and brought on a left winger to get them out of the relegation zone?
That's not bad for someone who represents the Premier League side. But 2 years since the election, the honourable member still needs to engage with the facts of the Tories' failed period in government. As his colleagues now accept this, the former Treasury Minister, the former Community Secretary, the former Health Minister, the former Immigration Minister, and that's just the member for Newark. He wrecked the country, helped wreck the Tory party, and now wants to do it all over again with reform.
Shall the Secretary of State, Sir James Cleverly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to echo the Right Honourable Gentleman's tribute to Sir George Howarth and pass on my party's condolences to his friends, family and loved ones. I also wish to echo his support and encouragement to the England football team in their forthcoming match against Norway. And of course, I will echo his words about those people murdered on 7/7, their friends, their families, but also pay tribute to the emergency services that did so much on that day. Will he apologise to the victims of the rapists, sexual predators and paedophiles that he is planning to release early?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm delighted to welcome the Shadow Housing Secretary to the dispatch box. He, of course, could have been doing this job every week if he were better with numbers. He's the Foreign Secretary. He was the Foreign Secretary in government that botched Brexit, the Home Secretary in a government that decimated neighbourhood policing, and one of the shortest-serving Education Secretaries in our history. Now, he asks about a very serious issue, and every decision we have taken has been based on public safety and delivering justice for victims. Let's talk about the context. The last Labour government built 28,000 prison places. We're building 14,000 by 2031. We've already delivered 3,200. Under the Tories, they closed 23 prisons. 23. Gloucester closed. Shrewsbury closed. Portsmouth closed. Holloway closed. Northallerton closed. And what are they now? A block of flats. That's why we have to have an early release scheme. That's why we passed the Sentencing Act. And we're putting community powers locally to make sure that we protect the public.
Sir James Cleverly.
Mr. Speaker, he makes a joke about the use of figures. Let me give him a figure. 50,000 prisoners released early in just 2 years on his watch. And I am genuinely shocked. Mr. Speaker, that when given the opportunity to apologise to victims, he very publicly failed to do so. And let me remind him what this is about. Let me quote Fiona Goddard, herself a victim of grooming gangs, who has been brave and open about how his policy will impact her. And she says, "Finding out that they may be released early has completely set me back. I have barely left the house. I feel constantly anxious, frightened, and unsafe. I can barely sleep." This is the impact his policy is having on victims. He refuses to apologise. But why is he pursuing a policy which he must know is both wrong and dangerous?
This is a very serious issue, and the honourable gentleman is experienced in this House. He knows that while he was Home Secretary, they had an early release scheme that set out 10,000 offenders, 10,000 under his... They had 6 schemes within a year. They had a scheme that they announced on the 6th of June 2023, another scheme on the 17th of October 2023, another scheme on the 8th of March 2024, another in April, another in May, another in June, all before the election. And that's why Rishi Sunak, it's rumoured, called the election in the first place. They left a system with just 83 empty cells. That's what the Justice Secretary previous to me inherited when she came into office. That's why we had to pass a sentencing scheme. He hasn't said what they would do now to fix the system. Of course we think of every victim. And that's why we're notifying victims in discussion with all victims. I sat last week in my surgery with a victim of grooming gangs. All of us want to see offenders locked up. That's why we've got to have prison capacity.
Well, it's not the same knockabout style, is it, as we've had over the last few weeks? And this one really, for me, feels like almost too serious a topic for the pantomime of PMQs. I mean, ultimately, you know, the prison population was at a level where, you know, the reality was there was nowhere to put the freshly caught criminals. So there is an element of, amongst, you know, the hard job of any government is then to risk assess which ones you let out and which ones you keep in. So for me, it's almost very distasteful because you can't magic prisons out of thin air.
No, they don't grow on cheese. They're not flat pack. You can't just kind of knock them together in 5 kind of minutes. But like you say, there's a very, very serious element, and people, you know, victims quite understandably not feeling safe if the perpetrators of crimes against them are being let free.
Yeah, and you know, the justice system, without wishing to go too deep, always has this element of there are very few sentences which, you know, when the judge bangs the gavel and picks a number, there are very, very few offenders that will serve that length of time.
Yeah.
You know, early release is part of the sentencing process. It is that element where, you know, building bigger prisons, I have absolutely no problem with it. And for me, if you sentence somebody to 5 years, they should serve 5 years. You know, it shouldn't be 2.5 years served, shrug, all go on then. You know, so for me, not very comfortable with this as an attack, or even, you know, the sort of defence line of, you know, well, you were awful. Very valid, but I'm not sure this is one for the pantomime of PMQs.
No, indeed. Let's see what happens with the rest of the pantomime.
Mr. Speaker, he talks about 10,000 early release over 14 years of Conservative government. They have released 50,000 in 2 years. And he knows it's wrong. He is a good man. He must know that it is wrong to release 5,000 serious criminals, including rapists, including paedophiles. And not only does he know it's wrong, but his party knows it's wrong. 400 Labour MPs and not one voted to support the government's policy in the vote last night. They know it's wrong. The country knows it's wrong, but he insists on pursuing it anyway. So if he will not change course, will he at least make this guarantee that not one rapist or paedophile will be released early later on this year?
He hasn't proposed what they would do if they were in office. They released 10,000 with 4 different schemes, no impact assessment when they released them, no victim contact when they released them, no warning. They did it on the sly. And let us be clear, yes, we've got more probation officers. They, of course, cut probation, decimated it because of Chris Grayling. We've invested £700 million in probation. We're rolling out the largest programme of tagging in our history. We're forcing offenders to stay boxed in certain areas rather than where victims are. We're creating alcohol, pub, football and driving bans. We're implementing income reduction orders, and we're expanding chemical castration for sex offenders. None of it happened when they were in power.
Sir James Cleverly.
Mr. Speaker, he will look back on this exchange and I think he will be shocked by how this is coming across. No apology to the victims, no guarantee that paedophiles and rapists will not be released early. We all know that releasing dangerous criminals on purpose is the wrong thing, but not content with doing that, he is hell-bent on releasing dangerous criminals by accident. Last year, in response to the questions of my right honourable friend, the member for South Suffolk, he claimed that under Labour he had got a grip of accidental releases. Yet we now know there have been more accidental releases in the last 2 years than in the entirety of the last Parliament. So I give him another chance. Will he apologise to the country for his abject failure at keeping prisoners in prison where they belong?
I've got to say, this is rich coming from the honourable gentleman. They had 14 long years in power. They wrecked neighbourhood policing. He was Home Secretary. Prisons were at bursting point. That's why they called the general election. And they let out offenders in secret. And that is why we have the Sentencing Act that passed through this House and the House of Lords. What we're doing is we are getting thousands more bobbies on the beat. We're toughening up probation. They've decimated it. And we have to have the space to knock up dangerous criminals. That's why we passed the sentencing bill.
Sir James Cleverly.
Mr. Speaker, it's the dangerous criminals that he is letting out early. So he refuses to apologise to victims, he refuses to guarantee that sexual offenders and rapists will not be released early. Another thing that the country and indeed this House knows instinctively is wrong is his personal crusade to scrap trial by jury. We know that it will not clear the backlog. We know that it undermines fundamental British freedoms, and we know the legal profession is united against it. So will he now admit that it is wrong, and will he commit to reverse his proposals to scrap trial by jury?
Well, let's be clear, Mr. Speaker. There is no proposal before this House to scrap trial by jury. The honourable member needs to do better and get on the detail. There is a threshold change. There is a threshold change. Margaret Thatcher made a change to jury trials. David Cameron made a change to jury trials. The vast majority of criminal cases in this country are dealt with by magistrates, again, which they cut. We're restoring the magistrate, and they can do more. We're investing in our courts. They ran our courts down. We're modernising our courts. We're introducing digital ID, and we need reform.
I'll just pause there.
So, James.
So we moved on from intended early release to accidental release to then you're getting rid of jury trials.
Yeah, it's. I mean, none of this is new news, is it?
No.
You know, the accidental release. I think there were a couple of high-profile cases last year, and then the stats said, kind of.
But there hasn't been anything for a while, so it's kind of odd to pick it up now.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously gone at it. It's like, well, a couple happen every week, and then, you're looking to abolish jury trials. Well, jury trials are expensive. You could argue about their effectiveness, and there is a massive backlog in the courts. It just a very odd attack line. It was almost like it feels a bit of the. It's a back of the fridge attack line, isn't it? What are we going to have for tea? Oh, I don't know. I found some eggs that aren't that far out of date and a bit of cheese. Should we do a cheese omelette? It just doesn't feel like a.
You feel like it's a scrabbling around for something to.
Yeah, it's like, well, we got to say, we got to challenge him on something. I mean, it's different, isn't it? That James Cleverly taking that very terribly senior management tone, it's not wowing me today, Simon. It's maybe I've enjoyed Kemi too much over the last few weeks, but yeah.
But are you finding that? So we've kind of obviously as the topic has got away from the deeply personal and seriousness of the opening question, has it got kind of? Do you feel that it's got less or more kind of? Well, it's all because of the crap that you left us with.
Oh, I mean that is still the. I mean, yes, that's got to be the thing, isn't it? Well, you broke this and you broke that, and you didn't do this very well, and you didn't. But the defence of, well, I guess it's the role of opposition, isn't it? Mm. When you're in opposition, it's your right simply to point out what's been missed. Only at election time do you theoretically have to then start saying how you might fix it. Yeah,
true. Is there more?
Yes.
Should we? I think there's another question between Cleverly and Lammy. Should we pause after that one? Again, quickly, before we go to Daisy Cooper.
Speaker, he talks in glowing terms about what he's claiming to do. What we are actually seeing this government doing is stripping money from where it's needed and squandering it on the welfare bill, which has ballooned by £20 billion this year alone. And he talks about getting over the detail. Here's a simple detail for him. When I was Home Secretary, we had more police officers than at any point in British history. Since taking over, that number has dropped by over 2,000 officers. Mr. Speaker, at the dispatch box last week, my right honourable friend, the Leader of the Opposition, highlighted this government's failure to defend us internationally. Today, I have outlined his failure to defend us domestically. If the soon-to-be Prime Minister... Is he in the room anywhere? No. If the soon-to-be Prime Minister does not want to be complicit in his failure, he should come out and condemn this plan, not just hint that he opposes it. Because if Labour cannot protect the citizens of this country, either domestically or internationally, then what on earth is the point of them?
Mr. Speaker, he insists on proving that he can't count. We lost 16,000 police officers when they were in power. Mr. Speaker, the British people haven't forgotten what the party opposite did to our country. After 2 years of a Labour government, I'll compare our record every day of the week. Their record is the biggest fall in living standards in recorded history. Our record is the biggest upgrade to workers' rights in a generation. Their record is wrecking our criminal justice system. Our record is bringing down violent crime. Their record is millions of people stuck on NHS waiting lists. Our record is cutting NHS waiting lists, the fastest rate in history. Their record is cutting defence. He was a reservist. They hollowed out the armed forces. Our record is the biggest boost to defence spending since the early 1990s. And their record is plunging hundreds of thousands of children into poverty. Our record is lifting 500,000 of children out of poverty. I'll take our record over theirs any day of the week.
So we'll pause then. So
James
the lists come
revealed
out.
his hands.
Yes.
He revealed his hand, didn't he? Last week it was international. This week it's domestic. Now
But this was a point that Kemi, was it last week or the week before? She kind of tried to end with that. Well, what is the point of you if you can't do all of the, what is the, and I don't know quite how effective it is. Obviously, it's going to land well with your own supporters, but to be fair, you could probably reflect the same thing back at the Conservatives, because.
Well, it's as we touched on a couple of shows ago, isn't it? It's that we live in a time where, but what have you done for me lately? And we've heard Sir Kay the last few weeks list this glowing arrangement of great things he and his party have done, to which the answer is, so why are you resigning?
So great, why are you going? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's that element. You can look at two sides of the same coin. You can, the last point made by David Lammy there was lifting 500,000 children out of poverty, and James cleverly squandering billions on an ever-expanding welfare state. Both statements can be true at the same time. It's just how you choose to perceive what the government is doing. So I think it's now time for one of my absolute favourite politicians of all time. It's Daisy Cooper.
Look, I'm sorry that we've kind of deprived you of anyone kind of zip lining or bungee jumping or
there's been no
into
bungee, but Daisy is one of those people that every time she stands up, she never fails to disappoint me. So let's have a listen to what she's got to say. I've got an idea, but we'll wait and see.
Okay. Clearly others feel differently, but let's listen.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May I associate myself and my party with the Deputy Prime Minister's tribute to Sir George Howarth, his remarks about the 7/7 bombings and all those who live with the consequences of that terrible day, and wish England good luck for Saturday evening. Yes. And as the UK braces for its 7th Prime Minister in a decade, can I also thank the Deputy Prime Minister for our exchanges and wish him well in whatever role he may have. Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Member for Clacton used to say... Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Member for Clacton used to say, leave means leave. But it seems his latest stunt is to leave this place just so that he can return as a fully fledged member after not just one referendum on his behaviour, Mr. Speaker, but possibly 2. So will the Deputy Prime Minister join us in urging the Chancellor to delay the Honourable Member for Clacton's resignation until the investigation is complete, so the good people of Clacton have all the facts before they cast their votes, and failing that, will he support our Clacton clause, so that even once the Honourable Member ceases to be an MP, the investigations can continue?
Well, everyone can see that the Reform leader is just trying to distract from the fact that he's up to his neck in sleaze. He's got serious questions to answer and he can't run away from them. Labour isn't going to be part of this circus. I hear it's the people versus the establishment, the city trader, Putin admiring professional politician who's pals with crypto billionaires versus Count Binface. There have been unqualified joke candidates in the past. Let's see what the people of Clacton decide.
Daisy Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's clear it's a two-horse race. Mr. Speaker, on a more serious and very sombre note. On a sombre note, Mr. Speaker. On a sombre note. MI5 has defended in court an agent that they knew to be openly misogynistic, obsessed with violence, and who used his position to coercively control his girlfriend Beth and attack her with a machete. To add insult to injury, MI5 also gave false evidence to the court. So will the Deputy Prime Minister use this opportunity to offer Beth a full apology on behalf of the government? And will he use his position to bring back a full Hillsborough Bill next week, which covers the security services, so that we can pass the law before the summer recess?
Well, she raises a very serious issue, of course, and I will arrange for Beth to meet with the Security Minister to discuss this in detail. She also raises the Hillsborough Bill, and I'm confident that this will be before the House in the coming days.
Okay, so that's us looking at the Deputy Leader questions from this week's PMQs. So, two different subjects then from Daisy Cooper.
Yeah, let's do them in, if you're right, doing them in reverse order. I'm not aware of the case she's referring to. That's not me sounding defensive and saying I can't comment. It sounds serious, so I don't really want to comment on that one because I don't know anything about it. But on the first point, I'm not a Daisy fan, but I thought she was on top of her game there. Leave means leave. I guess we've got a comment on it, haven't we?
It feels like an opportunity missed if we don't. I just think that there's a principle at work here, is that at the end of the day, every MP has rules that they need to abide by, and where there is suspicion, it's absolutely right that there should be an investigation by their peers that concludes whether something nefarious took place, with potential sanctions if it did, and those can lead to essentially a suspension from Parliament or the opportunity for a recall petition to take place in their constituency, and if I think 10% of their constituency vote for it, then essentially there is a by-election. So it kind of seems there can only be really. If your decision is to say, well, everybody's against me, everybody's got it in for me, I'm just going to I'm going to lay myself before the good people of Clacton. Is it surely reasonable and logical that you lay yourself before the people of Clacton? Once they've had an opportunity to hear actually kind of what the case is. It's like asking the jury to rule in a trial when only the defence has made their case, but the prosecution hasn't said anything yet.
I actually think it's worse than that.
Okay.
I think it's almost a referendum on sleaze.
This isn't important, so my vote, okay.
Because ultimately, whatever the investigation finds, the ultimate sanction that I believe they can impose is to recall and a by-election.
Yes.
So if Nigel chooses to stand in that by-election, then he's kind of ahead of the curve now. So I think it is a publicity stunt in terms of, if the investigation finds against him, he can make all sorts of huffing and puffing noises, because there's that element of, we gave the people of Clacton a choice and they overwhelmingly voted for me. So there's almost that element of, if I draw another parallel, something, and I'll probably have to explain this to you, but the president of the United States basically phoning his mate at FIFA saying, can you just forget about that red card for the USA's star striker?
Oh, yeah.
And it was just, for me, it was kind of the rules don't apply.
Yeah, rules are for other people, and I know so much about this game, but I'm going to speak for 5 minutes to the press where I quite clearly demonstrate I know fuck all about the game.
Yeah. And I genuinely think this is out of the same playbook.
Yeah.
That the rules don't apply or don't matter, or that the electorate doesn't care. So I know I've seen comments online about, well, the parties know they can't beat Nigel, so they're not standing. No, I think the parties know that this is a charade.
Yeah.
It's a massive publicity stunt, and we will have no part of it.
Yes.
And, my absolute, complete and utter hope at this point is #bin for the win.
It would be a feat of irony if Count Binface, who so far is rumoured to be the only candidate, as you said, the other major parties have all basically said they want no part of this basically charade. I can't remember where I heard it, but someone saying we're not going to join the clown and give him a circus. So. By all means, have a vote, but have a vote after the process is concluded, and then the electorate can decide what they decide. But because I think it's also the case that while the by-election is going on, the investigation can't continue, and isn't going to make any pronouncements, because obviously that would be implied as trying to amend, trying to affect the result. So it's kind of dead cat territory of, if I do this and just hope that something other shit happens and we all forget about this, who knows? It just kind of seems.
Well, and this is the fascinating bit, though. Now the die is cast, isn't it?
Yes.
46% voted for Nigel last time.
Yes.
Means 54% didn't.
Yes.
And if those percentages remain the same and the two candidates are Nigel Farage and Count Binface, well, and it's difficult because for me, we've been doing this for 7 years, and we try not to treat politics as a charade, and we try not to be cynical, and so there is an element of, I think, legitimate reform supporters would probably be critical of me, or perhaps us, for taking our bin supporting stance.
You've already got the bin; it's just got someone else's name on it.
Well, this is the element of, for me, Simon. You opted to pull this stunt.
Yes, you've pulled this ripcord. If
it comes undone, and you metaphorically get bitten on the bottom by a man with his head in a bin, there is an ironic justice to that I will be delighted with.
Mind you, what's an MP's pension like if they get?
Probably not as good as the one he's already got from the EU, and not as much as the interest he's probably earning on what's left of the crypto millions.
No, but every little helps, right?
I don't think he's going to be short of a shilling, because I also think, let's be honest, very charismatic. He earned £100,000 a year from the little video service. He is not going to be short of a shilling, even if the bin gets the win.
Well, we shall see. But we'll have to watch that with. We'll see whether that bin collection takes place.
You're struggling now, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I'm sure. Yeah, it's just rubbish now.
We'll do that. So on that bin shell, you've been listening to the Pompey Politics Podcast. I've been Ian Tiny Morris.
I've been Simon Sansbury. Please do remember to give us a like, comment, a subscribe, follow us wherever you're catching the podcast. Thanks very much for joining in, and we shall see you next time on Sunday at 6:27. See you then.
Don't forget to like, follow and comment on Facebook, or comment and subscribe on YouTube. Find us on all the social media platforms: Facebook, X, YouTube, Threads, LinkedIn.